Good evening, friends. Welcome to the Vinigage Talk Show. I am Vishwanath, your mental conditioning coach and counselor. I have authored the book Success Mantra in Sports. Sports are one of the oldest activities known to man. Sports has enthralled both the participant as well as the spectators. There is another pastime that is a favorite with the sports lovers. That is reading the reports from the sports section in the newspapers with a cup of coffee in the hand in the morning. Even now, I first take a look at the sports pages before going to the main pages. Kudos to all the sports reporters who have brought to us vivid descriptions about the happenings on the sports field. To celebrate sports journalism, I have with me two distinguished sports journalists, Mr. Ashok, Kalyan Ashok, and Mr. Joseph Hoover. Welcome to the talk show, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us on the show.
Thank you, sir. You're most welcome. Mr. Kalyan Ashok is a veteran sports writer with nearly 40 years of experience in the field. He has worked with major dailies like Indian Express, Deccan Herald, and the Hindu. He has covered national and international events spanning different sports. After he retired as the head of sports division in the Hindu, he has been writing on sports as a freelancer. Mr. Joseph Hoover is also a veteran sports journalist, having worked with reputed media houses like Times of India, Indian Express, and the Deccan Herald. He is now a freelance journalist. He is a highly reputed cricket reporter, having traveled all over the world. Mr. Joseph Hoover was a first division cricketer, having represented FUCC with great distinction. He is also a wildlife conservationist to add to this. Welcome to the show once again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see Mr. Kalyan Ashok on the screen. Okay. Mr. Joseph Hoover, you have been a cricketer and a long-serving sports journalist. What were your early dreams? To become a cricketer or a sports writer?
Well, when I began, I wanted to be a cricketer because I was very competitive. I said I'll make it somewhere. But as things ran out, God has got different plans for each one of us. Um, Cricket was something which really brought me into the limelight. And we had one great journalist called Rajan Bala, Mr. Rajan Bala. He used to write about me. One day he asked me, what are you doing? I said, I was writing, I'm joining customs and excise. I'm looking for a job there. He said, no, it's not for you. The way you play cricket, you're very straight. I don't think you'll survive in that organization, in that environment. You rather do something else. So I just asked him, what do I do? So he says, why don't you join me? That's how I got into journalism. Because I'm basically a BCom graduate who was pursuing my goal as a cricketer. But that's where I got into journalism, and that has been fantastic for me. God has given me a great opportunity to express myself, to do whatever best I can do. And more importantly, what happened was, as a cricketer who was very competitive, and I would love to, express myself in saying that I wanted to contribute back to the game. I wanted to give back to the game. I wanted to ensure that the sportsmen were treated on par with the best. They were given fair treatment, fair selections. I believed in that, and I said, having been a cricketer, I said I will not allow these things to happen. So that drove me. I mean, my boss also, Rajan Bala, used to tell me, listen, go. We want you to be straightforward, get your facts right, and write what you think is right. So that kind of encouragement And especially with Indian Express, where they say if you have there's a fire in the belly. Even today, I have, after so many years in journalism, that is where I learned. He said, you call a spade, even if it's a minister, if it's a big bureaucrat or whoever it is, he has messed it up. We have the facts. We have to expose him. So that fire is still there. I don't back out at all. If truth has to be called out, it has to be called out. And I don't care about who's who. That's the way I believed in things, because God has given me a purpose to be here. And it doesn't matter who the person is. The fact is a fact. It has to be written. So whether it be my friend or a drinking buddy, doesn't matter to me. I've always been straightforward, and God has kept me well. I would say that I've been on a very good wicket.
Talking about calling spade a spade, I saw your video during the election time.
Yeah, see, that anything, what happened was, it's very unfortunate. We got into the election mode only 6 days before the elections. Actually, there was no contest. We were telling Jesh Patel and group saying that we remove two of these guys. That was, one was Santosh Menon, who was messing up cricket. And there was another gentleman called Vinay Muktunjia. There was a lot of anky-panky happening. So they said, you remove these guys, let's not have an election. So when we came to the elections, it was totally unfair on the party that they didn't want to share the numbers and details with us, which is not fair. I mean, you're contesting. We have no chance, not even one person. But we just wanted to contest to tell them we are there in the interest of the game. So we called ourselves Swachh Cricket. So that is what our goal was. But very unfortunate that the dirty games played by this set of, I call them the mafia. It's a cartel. It's a cartel working in India, in Karnataka cricket. I would take them on anytime, anywhere, under the sun, under the moon, in the court, on the panel, media panels, anywhere. But what for me in mind was that we need a clean system.
So let's get back to that later.
Genuinely talented to be selected. So that was all my goal was.
Thank you. Mr. Kalyan Ashok, the media persons who report sports are called by different names like sports journalists, sports correspondents, sports reporters, and even sports writers. Are all these one and the same, or there is a difference?
See, sport journalist sort of covers anybody who is associated with covering the sports, That is, either it can be print, it can be what you call electronic media, or the sports portal. So it's a sport journalist is a general term, And also sports correspondents are the guys who have been covering sports and reporting from different centers. And sports writers are basically, you can even tell them as a columnist who write on sports columns. But if you look at it, it's one and the same. It's interchangeable. A sports columnist can be a sports reporter as well. Similarly, a correspondent can be a sub-editor, or he can be a commentator. So it's anybody who is associated with sports coverage, that we are generally called sports journalists or sports writers.
Thank you, sir.
It doesn't make
sense. So to us lay people, all these terminologies was putting us off. So I got a very good clarification from you today. Thank you. Mr. Joseph Hoover, you have taken many journeys all over the world to report cricket matches. Can you recall some of those cherished tours and even the most talked about series?
Well, there are quite a few, but one which I would love to always look back on and enjoy thinking about it vividly is the tour to England. When we were about, from Karnataka, there were about 6 boys. That's Kumble, Dravid, Joshi, Venkatesh Prasad, and Javagal. I mean, it was a great bunch. And that being my first big tour, my first test tour in '96, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and the camaraderie we built with the team. I mean, I got in touch with Sachin on that particular tour, and that's where my association with him began. So I always go back to '96 England, where it was fantastic. I mean, we built a rapport. I mean, unlike today's journalists, we had the privilege of having a drink with some of the cricketers late in the night. We used to share a lot of stuff. We used to be friends on off the field, but on the field, we were saying we do our professional work, you do your job. So we didn't compromise on that. So I think when I to recall, I always cherished those moments because it was great. I mean, we had such wonderful cricketers. I mean, Azu was there, and Jadeja was there, Sanjay Manjrekar was there. I mean, I enjoyed the tour, and every time I look back, that gave me the strength. And on that particular tour, I always thank Javagal Srinath. This is very interesting. We were at Bristol playing a 3-day game against a county team, and Javagal was playing for Gloucestershire those days, and same was Andrew Simons playing there. I had no clue that Andrew Simons had an issue with the English media. So I had met Javagal during the game and told him, listen, I would love to introduce this guy. Can you set it up? He said, yeah, why not? So it was actually Javagal's takeoff for me. So he got Simons to talk to me, and that became big news across England. Because as I went back to the press box, everybody was standing with their hands up in a V and saying that and clapping for me. I was wondering what was this all about. Little did I realize that I had done one of the biggest scoops in England, English cricket. So there were a lot of people coming to me and saying, we'll pay you this kind of money, give the interview to us. I said, listen, I'm from Deccan Herald. My organization send it to me. I have to just share it with my organization. From there, you can publish it. There's no problem. My editors will be free. So that's where it all triggered off. Where I had made an impact with this interview, and my bosses were very, very impressed. Mr. Hari Kumar was my editor-in-chief then. He was pretty impressed because everything was written about me in the Guardian and the Independent and all other papers in England about the biggest scoop that ever was to be there. That was just a freak happening. It's just that I asked Javs, just give me a chance to speak to this guy, and then I got it. So that became big, and that lifted me. That gave me the leeway to travel around with the Indian team for about 14 years. So that is something that I always will cherish. And I always will thank Javagal Srinath for that, because that was something which really paved the way for my tours and my cricket writing, and established myself as a cricket writer, and also establishing good contacts with the players across the world, and building a wonderful rapport with some of the gentlemen cricketers that Karnataka and Indian cricketers put out.
Thank you for that exciting episode. Mr. Kalyan Ashok, you have taken a long journey in sports reporting. Could you tell us briefly about this journey?
Yeah, you'll be surprised, because I didn't. I'm a sports journalist by accident, not by design. I was a good commercial artist as well as a cartoonist. Okay, I've been doing quite a bit of cartooning in Chennai for quite a few magazines. So I thought I'll try my luck in Indian Express. Well, I went to Chennai Indian Express and asked them if there is an opening. So they said, no, there is no opening for a cartoonist as such. But you guys, if you are interested, you can get into as a trainee reporter. So as a trainee reporter, I was wondering what kind of trainee reporting I can do and all the thing, general stuff, or this thing. So I was asked to meet to one Mr. N.S. Ramasamy, who was our assistant editor in Indian Express there. So I met Mr. Ramasamy. Ramasamy said, okay, see, general reporting, this thing also, quota is also filled, right? Do you know anything about sports? So I said, okay, I've been played at school level cricket and volleyball and table tennis I've been playing on and off. So I said, all these games I told him. Then he told me, then he called the sports in charge, one Mr. K.K. Nair. So he asked me what's going on in the city right now. He said there is one TT tournament going on at YMCA, Chennai. So he asked me, why don't you go and cover this if you know about TT? I went and covered it and gave a report. Ramasamy was pretty okay with it. And he told me, you know something about the game? Okay. He told, okay, you take this boy as a trainee reporter in sports. So that's what I got into sports, like, you know. So Express, I did about 1.5 years in Express as a trainee reporter and all that. Then moved on to Indian Express Hyderabad on a promotion. But in Hyderabad, didn't give me much of a chance in reporting because there was absolutely nobody there on the desk. Like, you know, I'm a one-man army who was in Hyderabad. 6, 7 months I was doing night duty, day duty, all kind of things, producing the edition and all. So say about 4 years it was like that, and I switched out to general reporting then feature writing. Next, it gave me a lot of other opportunities, not sports alone. Then Deccan Herald '83 I joined at the time. At the time we had a very good team. Rajan, as Joseph Hoover said, has been a great teacher for us, and he has been a great leader. So Rajan molded me in a lot of ways, like, you know, how best to report, how to do. And also we had a lot of good colleagues like Vedan Jaishankar, Sharan Kumar, Anand Filar, Suresh Menon, and of course one Mr. Leo Pereira. I think is one of the most underestimated sports writer and sub-editor. He has been a very passionate. He taught me a lot of things. So I came on. So '86 I joined in Hindu. Hindu has been a great opening for me in the sense we had a great team. So it had one of the best sports teams in the country. Still it is. And we had one Mr. S. Krishnan, he's no more now, but he was a great leader. I mean, he was able to know the strength and weakness of each and every reporter and all that. He encouraged me a lot, gave me a lot of assignments. So I started covering aquatics, table tennis, all at international and international level and all that thing. You know? So it has been a thing. Though 2011 I retired from Hindu, and after heading the department, then what I do is do a bit of freelance writing for the Hindu metros. They got a supplement cut Metro Press, write for that. Then of course some online portals I've been content writer. So it's been a good journey for me. Like, you know, it gives sports give me a lot of opportunities to meet some of the sports writers. Joe says I not touched cricket because in a big way, because everybody wanted to be a cricket reporter, a cricket writer in our field. So I switched on to other sports and I was able to do well.
Thank you.
I was, yeah. So that is the thing.
Yes.
I've been fortunate enough to rub shoulders with some of the sporting greats like Prakash Padukone, then Krishna Bhupati, that is there's Mahesh Father. And also I've seen some of the Olympians who are there in aquatics just grow before my eyes. Like I seen Nisha Mirat as a 10-year-old child and beginning their career in swimming, then becoming an Olympian and all that thing. It's been a great thing.
Great.
But sports, of course, it has given me one more this thing. No, it's not about just writing and reporting and all that. And it has to be in a very positive way. A couple of instances I remember. See, in Deccan Herald, when I was there, we had one TT player called V. Chandrasekhar in Chennai. He was down with, got into coma because of wrong diagnosis and treatment. So I wrote a small piece on his plight and all that in Deccan Herald. It was carried in what do you call now, the Kannada publications of Deccan Herald, like Mayura and all that. We were able to collect funds for him and all that. It was a what do you call now, wonderful gesture on the part of the readers. That's what I basically feel. So that is the thing.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Joseph, with cricket being most popular game in India, you too must have garnered a lot of public attention. Can you recall some of those golden moments you had, the experience of meeting famous personalities associated with cricket?
As I've already said, the best moment on the English tour was getting in touch with Sachin Tendulkar to one of my close cricket writer, Mr. Vijay Lokpally. Vijay Lokpally and Sachin were very close before I came onto the cricket wagon, international cricket wagon. So I had asked Vijay Lokpally, I said, listen, why don't you set me up with the interview with Sachin? That's the first time. And thank God we have a good relationship. And some of the great memories are what I will always talk about is we were in Pakistan in on an Independence Cup tour, and there was a lot of restrictions. We were not let out of the rooms. There were cops all over the place. We were being followed. And I was in the room, and I happened to call Sachin. We were in the same hotel, and as we were generally chatting over the phone, I said that it's time you guys did something for the people. You all are great cricketers. You all are great ambassadors. You need to contribute something for society. And believe it or not, that gentleman just took an off the cuff decision and said, let's do something about it. So I was caught, I was rather
Of God or something.
saying how quickly he could take a decision like that. He said, let's do that. And he said, I'll call you back. Within the next 1 hour, he called back and said, okay, let's do something about it. How do we go about it? I said, let's have some kind of a charity event. Let's have an auction of cricket memorabilia and all that stuff. And he said, yes, I will get all the players together, the Indian team. Let's do something about that. And believe it or not, within the next 2 hours, he had already called people in Jalandhar and told them to send X number of bats to my office in Deccan, which had to be autographed by the players and that had to be auctioned. So we were in 1998, we did the first auction in Bangalore along with Deccan Herald was the, was kind enough to saying that, okay, we'll host the show. So the Indian cricketers came over and we had this memorabilia, cricket memorabilia auction, and all the cricketers participated in that. So there was a kind of a feeling saying that, listen, the cricketers are doing so much. Let's also, try to lift their thing. And so that continued. We did that once again. And also what most memorable thing is getting most of them into wildlife conservation, because I have been successful into marrying cricket and wildlife. God had given me the strength as a cricket writer, as a cricketer, and as a passionate wildlifer. I said, let's do something. God has given me that opportunity. Let's bridge this. So we got a lot of cricketers together, and a lot of them have contributed. If something is safe today and if our tigers are doing well, I would partly congratulate our cricketers for coming into the picture and saying we need to save our tiger. So like you talk about Kumble, you talk about Dravid, you talk about Tendulkar. And another great moment that I always enjoy was we were on the store of New Zealand. I was writing for the Press Trust of India then. I had quit journalism, but PTI wanted me to write for them. So I went on a couple of tours with them. And during the tour in 2009, I told Sachin, listen, I don't know what you guys are going to do. We need to do something for the tiger. And we used to have banners around the team everywhere. Indian cricketers support wildlife conservation. And believe it or not, I was after Sachin. I wouldn't allow him to breathe. I said, you need to do something. You need to step in and talk about wildlife conservation. And it is always Sachin, when he prepares for an event, for a test match, he shuts himself off. He's in his zone. So here I had a challenge. I said I had to get him to do something and I'm going to drive it in. And God willing, through God's grace, I got him to accept that. I went across to his room. We had a discussion and I set up a press conference, an international press conference where Sachin came on television in front of the cameras and said, I'm supporting tiger conservation. So that was a great moment for me. And also what happened was during the match, he got 100. He got a brilliant 162 at Hamilton. And he dedicated that 100. To wildlife conservation, to tiger conservation. So these are something which I always cherish. These cricketers are human. People need to understand they're not just stars. They've also got a heart. They've got a soul. They want to contribute. They want to reach out. And there have been times because I've been part of 2 auctions where Asha Bhogle has helped us out in these events. And I could say that, the spontaneity that these guys want to contribute, they want to reach out to the poor and the needy, the disabled, the differently abled people was amazing. Talk Kumble, you talk about Ganguly, you talk about Sehwag, talk about Lakshman, Dravid, name them. Each one of them has a soul and they wanted to do something. So these are great moments that I've cherished. But I had to come away from the game because at one point of time I realized I need to do something more in life than just write about cricket and travel, because I wanted to contribute something for wildlife conservation. And given the strength that God had given me about my ability to write and talk and engage with people in the government, in the bureaucracy, in the NGO levels and the local people, I said, I need to step in. So that's where I took a call in 2008 and said, I'm out of journalism. I'm here for whatever society I can, little contribution I can do. So I stepped in, and that has been great. I mean, I enjoy that. Every moment I sleep very well. Sometimes you feel there's a pinch in the purse, but still, no, I come through. And God has kept me very well, and I've enjoyed every moment of that activity.
You have brought out the tiger out of sporting heroes and made them to adopt tigers.
Yeah, in fact, to recall something, when the 1996 World Cup happened in India, I don't know how many people will remember, we had our cricketers carry a stuffed tiger, soft tiger, on on the plane, in the practice sessions, in press conferences, everywhere they used to carry, because at that point of time, Ajit Warikar had driven it into the boys. He was the wildlife fund. He was World Wildlife Fund. He was one of the ambassadors. So he and Sandeep Patel were there together. So they ensured that the boys carried it everywhere. So, and at that particular 96 tour was something which unfortunately did not happen. I mean, had we won that victory, this team was dedicating it for wildlife, for tiger conservation. That was the commitment we had. But unfortunately, so many things happened in Calcutta at Eden Gardens. We lost the semi-finals, and that's it. But still, I mean, if you look at that, the way our cricketers are contributing, hats off to them. I mean, I can tell you Harbhajan, Zahir, name it, anybody, Yuvraj, anybody. Today, they're all contributing. They're doing their best. L. Balaji, Murli, Murli Vijay, you name them. I mean, so many of them want to do something. So these are guys who can really contribute, and I always keep egging them. We cannot sit back. We cannot, because once our wildlife is gone, our forests are gone, we are doomed. So we are responsible to save what little is left now. Today we are faced with all kind of issues like coronavirus. That is just one. There'll be hundreds more coming. I said, if our forests go, we'll be inviting more trouble. So I always call on the cricketers and ask them, saying that egg them on, saying that let's do something more. So they have been fantastic. I mean, God has given me the avenue to reach them. I've been doing my bit. They're doing their bit.
We will have to hurry through, yeah, because they are saying we are running out of time. Okay, sir. Mr. Joseph, you stoked the fire and it's burning now. Yes, thank you. Mr. Ashok, what is lacking in sports journalism? How can they be addressed?
Sir, I feel no, I won't say it's not lacking anything right now, because the people are doing, now it's totally changed. Earlier it was a ball by ball description kind of reporting that was going on and all that. Now with the advent of all this electronic media, internet portal and all that, everybody gets a news, on time this thing, So the writing has changed. People are writing more analytical pieces, in-depth pieces, interviews, behind the scene kind of stuff and all that things. That is a very good improvement overall. But I feel, one thing I feel, what is lacking, if you are asking me, it's the lack of local coverage. That I have been seeing the past few years, and even Joseph will agree, because both of us, I've been covering, even till my retirement day, I was covering local matches, either be TT or tennis and all that. Joseph, Maybe he might be a great cricket writer covering international cricket, but he never missed a local league match, either in Chennai or in Bangalore. He was keeping his tabs on the local cricket and all that thing. That is more important, which is totally lacking because of people. Now the current crop of reporters, I hardly see them anywhere going and covering the local event. And as you see, earlier, like Deccan Herald used to carry such a huge picture of the events and coverage. Now, not only Deccan Herald, all the other papers just carrying one or two paras of the local events. Like,
So
this
that's the
famous.
problem, sir. That's the problem. That's why you are not able to cover. Because they are not giving you enough space to cover the local events.
No,
At the time, first division matches, you used to take half the page. Yes, sir.
yeah. You see, the thing is, people think that niche sports matter and people follow English football and maybe what do you call a WTA tournament or international golf and all that thing. But they tend to forget, no? See, either you give a coverage to IPL or not, they are going to get a coverage because the worldwide audience is there on TV and electronic media and everything is there. But local events, these are the kids who are been struggling. See, you're talking about Rahul Dravid and all that thing. No? As a kid, he was coming, his father used to come and give the scores. Maybe Joe will tell you that thing better.
Thank you, sir.
See, that's how they become great, no? Because
Thank
they must be having the
Thank you,
cross
sir.
cutting. For the children, no, it makes a lot of difference to them as they build their career, no? So local coverage is a must, but I'm quite dissatisfied the way the local coverage is being done now.
Mr. Joseph, how has TV broadcasting and digital live streaming impacted sports journalism of the print media?
Not at all. Print media is always supreme because what's written carries more weight than what is spoken, because you can always change during the course of your discussion, but what you write in print is always there for as an evidence. So I don't think it really impacted. It's just that people, as the readers, they also got a little more towards watching television. Digital, we are talking about today, of course, because things have changed now. But I always believe, I mean, I've dabbled with both print and visual media. I always feel the print is always any day better because there's value in that. As far as digital or your visual media concerns, the television media, I mean, you could be saying something at one point of time, and next moment you can always change that fact. You'll be calling somebody something, and then you could always turn around and say, I never meant it. I just differently. But once you write it in print, it's always there. You can be taken to court. So I always believe that print still has a say. I mean, of course, it's now in a digital format. Fair enough. I mean, things have changed. If you look at what it was then and what it is today, it's a lot different. And then covering of cricket, coverage of the sports is something which has always hurt me because as a cricketer, as a cricket writer, I was there in the ground from morning 9 o'clock. That's all my run baller taught me, my boss. He said, you need to be there first ball of the match. 9:30, first ball is bowled. You need to leave the ground one day after you collect see the last ball and collect the scores and come into the office. So that's how I built my rapport with all the junior cricketers. Today, if I'm able to call anybody and talk to them, it's because I've been there at the ground, watched them, and I wrote the truth. I did not exaggerate. If he was good, he was good. If he was bad, he was bad. So that gave me a great advantage. And I've seen a lot of these boys grow up from the young age, the Kumble's, the Dravids, I mean, the Lakshmans and all these guys. When I look at that, I enjoy that but that commitment is lacking today. People might say lack of space, but today what has happened is become so comfortable for our journalists that the scores are sent to them by the Cricket Association. All they need to do is just put a para or two without watching you write. So that is not on. I mean, somewhere you need to be committed. Yes, you have other issues. You need to do pages. You have editing to do. All that is there. But you still want to contribute to sport, just not cricket, be it football, basketball, swimming, anything. You need to be there. Not hearsay and then right say. That's not on. So today, somewhere that is lacking. I don't know why. I don't want to discuss much about it, but I'm very disappointed because that's not what it is. You need to be there to understand what anybody talks about. Because see, I can recall incidents about KL Rahul getting double hundreds as a young boy. Okay, and then one day when I was running into, I was going to meet Sachin at the NCA. Rahul was coming out. So Rahul had the great thing because I've seen Rahul grow as a youngster, Rahul. And here Rahul is telling me the scale Rahul is brilliant. I said, yeah, Rahul, I've been following. He's got double hundreds here, there. Now. So that was something that, that gives us, because we've seen them, we're able to relate. Otherwise, I could have said, "Oh, is that so? Okay, I think I'll watch him sometime. Don't worry about it." Since I'd watched KL get the double hundred, I could tell this boy is really good, and the way he plays cricket today. If you see Rahul, I can recall the incident because I was part of this Karnataka Premier League until all this tamasha happened. We were in Mysore, where so he said, why? I said, you look at Dravid, Lakshman, Sachin and all, they leave the ball in the play. That's how they become good test cricketers. He said, yes, after a while he thought about, came back and said, yes, sir, what you say makes sense. But today, when I look back at that and I said, look at the way the KL Rahul's playing. He's playing such good cricket. Even in T20, he's hammering hundreds. You look at him. I mean, there was I've spoken to him not to play T20 cricket. Today, he's one of the finest T20 cricketers. He's doing well in ODIs. He's doing well in Test cricket. See, once your technique is correct, the rest is just.
Thank you.
And that's what when you watch them, you have conviction to talk to them. You're able to relate better. That's what I meant.
So Joseph, the next question is also for you. With sports becoming highly commercialized now, the levels of stress are on the rise. Athletes are coming out to report their mental health issues. Do you think mind training and psychological support are essential at this hour, both to improve performance and to address mental health concerns?
Definitely. This is a very critical issue that we've been seeing. I wouldn't want to name boys, but I've seen some of the cricketers who just went berserk. They couldn't understand what was happening to them. They lost out. Had they been guided at that point of time, they would have been great cricketers and good human beings. Today they're on the streets. When I see them, I feel miserable about. But at that point of time, there was no such as a sports psychologist. And today, if you look at it, international sports everywhere, we have a sports psychologist sitting with the team. And I recall the tour in 1999, 2000 in Australia. India were being smashed by the Aussies. 3 days, 3.5 days test cricket was getting over. We were being battered, despite Sachin doing very well on the tour. It came to such an extent that they had to decide that it's better we have a sports psychologist talking to us. So there was a session. I remember we were very much on the ground when all these boys went. There was a psychologist, sports psychologist.